Welcome back to the Italian Film Buff podcast. How are you doing? I hope you are doing well. Today we are here to discuss about Daredevil Born Again Season 2. I'm gonna discuss about this without spoilers, and then I'm gonna have a section with spoilers because I want to talk about a couple of things that I disliked with every fiber in my body, but I want to talk about all the things that I liked very much because this season was a surprise. But let's dig it. Let's start to talk about this. So, Daredevil Born Again. Season 2 was a surprise, I gotta be honest. Because season 1 was, my perception was this, that season 1 was born under great condition, because if you remember, season 1 of Daredevil Born Again, when they started the production, they went like, okay, we want this new iteration of Daredevil to be like an old school kind of TV show. So a TV show that goes on for 18 episodes. I remember the way there was this concept about going on for 18 episodes, like old television. And then I think they had to stop, if I remember correctly, due to the Hollywood strike. And then they had time to stop. They went back to watch what they have done, and the leaks came out. And basically the series was unbearable. Daredevil was barely in it, was almost not there. He showed up after a lot of episodes. The series was basically a kind of wacky legal drama and kind of boring, and they were like, no, this is unbearable. They rewrite the whole thing, and they shot a bunch of different scenes with Daredevil, and they made what we know as and we love, we like and we love as Daredevil Born Again Season 1. And I think this is because Marvel in that moment was still in that place where they haven't realized how bad was the way they were doing television and also movies. I mean, the downfall of Marvel Studios wasn't there yet. I think that the strike was a great opportunity to reevaluate what they were doing. And once they look at Daredevil Born Again, the way it was shaping, they were like, this is bad. This is bad on so many levels that we don't know where to start. But luckily they knew where to start and how to shape the TV show. And so they reduced the scope. They gave us the Daredevil that we wanted to have. And they realized that in order to make it work, they couldn't follow that road that they were following when they put Daredevil in Echo and in She-Hulk, where he had the yellow costume and he was doing that walk of shame after a one-night stand with She-Hulk and whatever. That was bad. That was very bad. It's maybe something that in a comic book can work, but when you do an adaptation and you have to choose a tone and stuff like that, it doesn't work. It's very bad. It was very, not even cringe, was just plain bad, because this is not the tone of the character and doesn't make much sense. Even the yellow costume, because the yellow costume in the comic book is the first iteration of the Daredevil costume, because Daredevil's father was a boxer, and that costume is heavily designed to resemble the kind of stuff that the boxer has, the boots, the pants, the short pants, even the tank top, the kind of tank top that the boxer have. And it's that kind of design, but was also yellow and red because it was the robe that the Devil, I think it was called the Devil. Marduk was the stage name, let's say, for him doing. It's not stage name because it's not wrestling, but the nickname that every boxer had a nickname back then. But anyway, the nickname and his robe was yellow, and so it was yellow and red. That was the origin story of the costume. But then they redesign it, and the red costume is so iconic and classic and way better. And I think that back then that costume made sense because of all of that, and because it was the 70s, the 80s. So I think it was in the 70s where Daredevil came out first. But anyway, it's another age in time. The yellow costume in the TV show doesn't make any sense. Why yellow? Why is that? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's just plain stupid. I think it doesn't work. But anyway, the tone wasn't completely there, and so when they said, "Okay, we're moving on with season 2," I was like, "We are at the crossroad." Marvel and Scardapane, David Scardapane, I don't remember the showrunner was his name, but or they learned the lesson, and so they understood the tone, the kind of story, and what they are supposed to deliver, and they will deliver, or it was just an happy accident. So it was an happy accident that because they're not going to have a break in the middle this time, and so they're going to go back to back to back like all the TV show. And since they won't have a break to reevaluate what they have done, they won't realize that it's bad, and they won't be able to. So I was like, I'm so scared. But luckily, they not just managed to deliver a great second season, but I think they managed to basically avoid some mistakes they make in the past, but also to fix some mistakes that they have done also in Born Again, and they're kind of annoying in how we tell story about superhero. So at the moment, I think this is probably Born Again so far. I'm not gonna say it's a masterpiece, but it's one of the best, or maybe the best Marvel television production out there. In my heart, is the best. I prefer it even to Loki. Loki, it's kind of I don't buy the end of the series. It's kind of okay. It's a bang as an ending in a way, but it's not that compelling. I didn't like that much. It's okay. The whole timeline things, it's kind of boring at some point. There is no much conflict there. It's very straightforward, and I'm very happy because Daredevil is one of my favorite superhero out there. I always loved Daredevil, and the only thing that I had about Daredevil was the movie with Ben Affleck and Will Ferrell. Not Will Ferrell. Would be amazing with Will Ferrell. Colin Farrell. That movie is bad. Very bad. But anyway, they managed to find the courage to do the stuff that no other TV show can make. They gave the proper tone to the TV show, and they are not losing themselves in wacky secondary plot line. Every character in the show is following a specific plot line that is designed to stay contained in the story. I make an example. So one thing that I don't like about television recently is that sometimes, because they want to give depth to the character, that sometimes it's very unnecessary. They take detour that they are long, an episode or even more, that are so long and so distracting from the main plot that you go like, okay, this is a compelling story itself. The short story that you want to tell for this episode is compelling. But in the design of the whole story, it's a huge tangent. You're going, you're leaving the realm of what we are talking about to go somewhere else completely. And it's not something that I always dislike, but sometimes the whole story, it's kind of compromised because they waste time telling something else that it's nice to receive, but it's not the point of the whole thing. And sometimes I don't like that. In Daredevil Born Again, every character has his own kind of side narrative, but it's all part of the main narrative. They're all connected, and not just for the cause of the sake of being connected, but because they tie to the action narrative in a way that works. Okay, and I'm gonna make a couple of example without spoiling, because this is the part that has no spoiler. Like the character played by Gandolfini, Daniel Blake, BB and Buck, their storyline, I like it very much. It's a storyline that makes sense in the scheme of the whole thing. It gives depth to those characters, makes sense, and it's also very connected to the morality and the choices of those characters without taking huge break from the main story. We are still there, and the story they're telling, it's very compelling. It's inside of what they want to tell, and it's fine, and it's interesting, and it's gripping, and it works. I loved it. And there are real conflict as well. They put on the table real conflict that are all part of this machine of Fisk, his rise and fall to power, and how Blake moves inside this world. It's fantastic. I love it absolutely. And also, it's, as I said before, it's a show that take two things that superhero stories stop to do on television and in movies. The first is give a morality to those heroes. They're just stickers. They're just element of marketing. They have no morality most of the time. It's just they gotta sell you how cool is Daredevil. They gotta sell. Daredevil is not the case. Let's go with the other ones. They gotta sell how cool is Spider-Man. They gotta sell how cool is Captain America, Iron Man. But their morality, the level of their morality, what they stand for, it's sometimes so naive and generic and not connected to something that the audience can bring home and make something that their own, that inspire them. It's so far away from us in any sense, form or shape, that those superheroes are just character punching each other, and that's it. Most of the time it's like that. Their morality is very thin, and it's very naive, and it's very childish, but it's not something. And that's why you see most of the time people that maybe they have a profile picture Spider-Man, and then they go around being racist, annoying, obnoxious to people, bullying people, and you go like, how can it be Spider-Man, your favorite character, and you behave in a way that is the polar opposite of what the characters stand for? It's beyond my understanding. And my understanding is that they grew up watching those TV show, cartoon, and Tom Holland, for example, in this whole trilogy he's accountable to nothing. He has no actual morality. Being Spider-Man, it's a game, literally. It's fun. But there are no string attached. It's just, but whatever. The other thing that they put, they managed to build in this Born Again season 2, but yeah, mostly in season 2, is that the other problem that superhero had lately, that is that in order to make them connect with the audience, they made the superheroes insanely weak and whiny and annoying, and I can't stand them sometimes. They are, how can I say, hysteric, super emotional in a way that it's annoying, because they I gotta stop Fisk, and they try to behave in a hectic way that doesn't make any sense, and it just, you gotta calm down, plan this thing. You're a superhero, you should be, I mean, the problem, and I'm gonna start from this point, the problem is that if you wanna build a superhero that I can relate to, the whole idea of the secret identity, the second identity, his personal life, it's something that it should give you an idea of who they are. For example, Matt Murdock, it's a hero of the people because he's a guy, a Catholic white guy, son of Irish immigrant from Hell's Kitchen. It was one, I don't know now, but it was one of the worst neighborhood in New York, full of criminals and with an immigrant melting pot, and we had the Irish, we had people from maybe the Italian mafia and stuff like that. But it was a very challenging neighborhood. And Matt Murdock, he was a guy that the cards that he was dealt with very really bad. No mother. His father is a boxer. He's a boxer in free fall. Speaking of career, because it's like fixing matches with the mob so they can make money out of his misery, and he's tied into that loop. And as soon as he rebel, he get killed. He get whacked by the mafia, by the mob, and he has no money. If he wants to go to school, and have an higher education, he doesn't have great chances. He is gonna become a lawyer, but for the forgotten people of society, because he understands the value of helping others, because he had a good chance to become a lawyer. He's gonna pursue it, but he understands that the fortune he needs to go back to give back to society, even his powers. He's not going to use his power to oppress people and for himself. He's going to use them to help the people of his kitchen. It's a high morality, and you can't relate to Matt Murdock because, as much as Spider-Man, he's a guy that he wasn't born rich. He has bad cards dealt to him to do good in life. He's gonna face a society that it's very challenging if you're not born rich, with great chances to move up in society. So it's a hero for the people, with a character that is easily connected to the actual reader. He has a disability also because he's blind. Of course, he has superpowers, stuff like that, but his role in society as Matt Murdock is very reliable to the reader, as much as Peter Parker, or now Miles Morales, that is part of this new generation of New Yorker and people in the United States all over, because they are son of immigrant of one or two generation. They grow there, they're dreamers, they're called dreamers, that generation, and they speak directly to a person. In fact, the thing that I love the most about Civil War, is one of the few things that I love the most, is the relationship that it never could move forward between Captain America and Peter Parker, Spider-Man, because they go like, I'm from Queens and I'm from Brooklyn, and they relate on that level because they are two kids with no big chance in life, but with a great sense of what's good and wrong, and they come from blue-collar neighborhood. They are not Tony Stark, that is an obnoxious prick, and that because we have a very superficial society, we decided to make the hero, of course, the superficial, born rich kind of kid. Nice. Then of course he has a better morality than any rich people on the planet, but still it's annoying. It's very annoying. It's the wrong morality they should bring home. You should be aspire to be like Captain America or Spider-Man, but those characters were very made fun of. Even Captain America is the one that you don't have to say bad words and stuff like that, and even Peter Parker was destroyed. But anyway, the thing is, Matt Murdock is already reliable, okay? But what you should not indulge, and this is something that they have done in the comics, speaking of, for example, Peter Parker, that is a very obnoxious character lately in the comic book. I haven't read Spider-Man in a year and a half because at some point I couldn't bear it anymore because it was annoying and acting in a hectic way. There is no idea that anyway, he's still Spider-Man. He's a very smart guy. Whatever curveball throw the lives at him is gonna jump back. Is gonna reply with a smile and with a joke, even as Peter Parker, and is gonna deal with it. There is no longer that kind of character, and it's annoying. And that's applied to even superhero in TVs and stuff like that. Even Matt Murdock is kind of hysterical in the first season of Born Again. In the way it was trying to tackle Fisk. In this second season, the hero is more what he's supposed to be. So a hero is supposed to be stoic. Is supposed to be the kind of person that I look at and I go like, look, the guy's like me. He was dealt very bad cards. He is not rich, was not born rich. Well, even if he becomes a lawyer, he has to prove himself because it's going to be tough, it's going to be difficult, or whatever is going on. He has to prove every day himself, and he's starting from a very bad situation. But anyway, he's Daredevil. He's the one fighting for the little guy. He is out there smiling in the face of adversity and winning them over. And that's what's happening in this second season, and I love it. The way he smiles when he fights the secret, the Kingpin task force, and it's amazing. And I love that. Heroes should be like that. The best hero are like that. A hero that doesn't matter if he goes down, is gonna jump back up and do whatever he needs to do and win over the situation. Because anyway, we're talking about fiction. And I agree with this thing that the whole self-help scene is there just because fiction is not giving anymore us the hero that we need to stand back up. And Daredevil, even in the comic book, is called Daredevil, the man without fear. If you read the comic book, so the man without fear, and that idea of the man without fear is what compelled me to read the comic book. I remember when I was, wow, is the man without fear? What's the deal about that? Okay. Like Spider-Man, the amazing Spider-Man is not the whiny Spider-Man that needs Tony Stark to build stuff for him. It's the amazing Spider-Man. The thing that you support Peter Parker because even if it's a broke guy from Queens that needs to help the hands to pay the bills and the rent, still, anyway, he's a brilliant guy. And he knows how to build web shooter, costume and stuff like that. He doesn't need a rich Tony Stark to come up with stuff. He can do them by himself. Okay? He should be way better than Tony Stark. I don't care about the movies. He should be a great superhero. Instead is whatever it is, and it's pretty pathetic. I hope the new movies improves that. I really hope that. And we can see amazing Spider-Man. But in this TV show, we've seen Daredevil. In this season 2, he's fearless. He laughs in the face of adversity. He has rage, and he soars whenever there is a challenge. He's there for it. This is the part, no spoiler, because so it's spoiler free. But I like the ending because the ending is an heroic act. He does something that it's fearless with a smile on his face. Is not gonna be put in a corner, and he's not acting out of hysterical feeling. Is gonna do that with a plan because he's embracing a value, a morality that is way higher than anything else. And in name of that morality, he's doing something that is courageous and crazy, but because he has no fear, he's embracing his side. That is who he is, and he's fearless. And he's facing Kingpin. He's facing Fisk, not with this burning need to stop him at any cost in a very wacky way and over-the-top way, but with the integrity of a man that has understood his role as Daredevil, a character that has understood his role as Daredevil, is the devil, is not scared. And that idea is gonna plant a seed in the audience, and the audience is start because of this fantastic character to think like, maybe I should do the same. Maybe in the stuff that I love, in the little challenges of my everyday life, I should be like Murdoch. Then doesn't matter if you are a girl or boy. Those heroes are universal for everyone. Maybe there is a girl out there watching Daredevil, and she's facing something, and she's scared about the consequences of what she can or cannot do. And then she's gonna lean on what she would like to do and be, because Matt Murdock was fearless. And she's going to embrace that side of herself. The same for a boy is watching, or a teenager or whatever. That's why for years we had bad guys that were more compelling, because the good guy, the only shade that they had was like, oh, I gotta stop the bad guy. Oh my god, I'm a good guy, but I gotta stop. I'm depressed. That was the idea, the whole characterization of the good guy. I gotta do the good thing. There are no shades of morality in good and bad. I just gotta do the good thing. It's boring, and they risk nothing, and they just gotta come on top because their friends help them, because their friends are there for them, and everybody. Instead, here, Daredevil, it takes, at the end of season 1, it takes a decision. He understands it is a symbol to start something, to give people hope. And so, since he has to be this beacon of hope, he has to embrace any consequences and every challenges, and he has to be strong and fearless. And it's something very good. You need to be brave in life, in everyday small challenges, okay? And you gotta do that. You gotta do the right thing, even if it's scary, because anyway, you can do it because you are brave. And being brave means being able to be accountable, to keep yourself accountable for the stuff that you do, and be able to face adversity. Doesn't matter if you win or lose. That's what being a hero means. And in fact, in this season, there is a whole discussion about masks that I love it, because it's of course it's not just because of vigilante's mask. What defines a vigilante? What defines a mask? And there is the crazy psychologist, I love that character, that talks about something that it's very true. Everybody has a mask. And sometimes the mask that we put on is a mask for other people, something that other people want to see from us. But the true identity of Matt Murdock is Daredevil. He's the devil. He's this small Catholic kid, son of a boxer, that at some point he understands that he's so pissed and annoyed by the fact that the world is so unfair that he decides to become the devil in order to defend people who can defend themselves. If you remember, I think it was the first season when he tells to Foggy that he's Daredevil, and he tells the story of that little girl being molested by the father, and even if he called child services and stuff like that, they couldn't got him because the mother was kind of protecting, the wife is protecting the husband in a way, and it was kind of smart to not leave him mark on the little girl. And then he decided to act for the first time as a vigilante. And it's kind of balancing back. Daredevil balanced back justice where justice is not balanced. He's the devil. He is not rightful in doing what he's doing, but he's the work of the devil. That's why he's dressed. The whole dichotomy between Christianity and justice, I love it. The idea of a Christian boy dressing up as the devil in order to do that. But anyway, the thing that I love is that he goes like, I never slept better after that. Because he has done whatever is aligned with his real identity, being Daredevil. And by the end of this season 2, he has fully embraced this. He is Daredevil. And in the part with spoiler, I'm gonna go more into detail about this. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. He's no longer a hero afraid of who he is, on being a hero. He's courageous, he's inspiring, he's a symbol. The whole idea that he's a symbol is very powerful. And the idea of masks, even Jessica Jones, what is, she's Jessica Jones. And the same applies to Wilson Fisk. He's not Wilson Fisk. He is not. That was something that he builds. Even Mayor Fisk is the ideal version of Wilson Fisk that he has in his mind, how he sees himself as a beacon of good that everybody needs to praise and respect, because he has this trauma, this small kid from the Bronx that needs to eat the bigger dog to survive. But what he actually is Kingpin. He is not Mayor Fisk dressed up in white to be this shiny the shiny armor to fight evil, and just he's actually a criminal. That's what it is. What he does in the background, in the shadow, is what it is. He's Kingpin. And every time somebody tried to break this illusion, it reminds me of somebody that is president in this very moment. But every time somebody shattered this illusion, in that case BB, he goes nuts because he doesn't like to see himself for what he actually is. Again, at the very end, when he's forced to, he loses crap, but he's what it is. He's that. That's it. That's what it is. He's that. And I love this whole discussion. I love this thing. And I love the fact that, speaking of morality of those heroes, for once, we have a superhero that he lives in the time we're living. This is something that it's I won't say funny, but it's crazy. It's happening with The Boys as well. But the whole thing, because somebody could say, so they took a shot at Ice and the No King movement in this TV show. No, is that in the comic book? I mean, yes but no. In the comic book, this thing, Mayor Fisk, even in Superman, there is even Lex Luthor become president, okay, in Superman, the comic book. Okay. But the whole thing, they thought about this because unfortunately history proves us that those stuff happens. Whatever we're living now, this dystopian present we are in, the fact that Donald Trump is president is the same thing as Mayor Kingpin. It happened in real life, but because it happened before in history. ICE is the same thing as the task force by Kingpin. They are the same thing. It's not like they take inspiration by ICE. It's that ICE already happened. We had Gestapo. In Italy we had the Camicie Nere with the fascists. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. And it's out there. It's just that history is repeating itself. But in a world like this, showing the Naked King, so Wilson Fisk for who he is, Kingpin, and the way he works, the way he acts, the way his brain as a narcissist, a malignant narcissist works, it's a way that we need to build up our superhero. Because the more powerful is the opponent, the more interesting is Daredevil as a hero and what it does and what is willing to do in order to have good prevail. And it's amazing. It's amazing because the morality here is that, okay, this is the morality that you should have as someone that loves superhero. So in the Spider-Man motto, from great power comes great responsibility, that was deleted by the idea of Spider-Man because it's a cliche. It's such a cliche that everybody forgot that we live in a world where everybody who has great power just abuse it. So it's so cliche that nobody does that. When a cliche, it's a cliche. Bad writing does that. Fucking idiots. But anyway, the idea of great power, from great power comes great responsibility. It's everywhere in every superhero ever created. Daredevil has an insane power. He can do whatever he likes with those power, okay? But he chooses to be a lawyer, to help in the firm where he works in season 2. He's helping the helpless. He's doing pro bono jobs, he's doing those kind of stuff. And in season 2, when he embraced Daredevil, what he's building, it's hope for other people. He's building an army to fight back. He's building partigiani inside the town to to oppose to a king, because Fisk is a king, using a false sense of security and reshaping reality in the best way, in the way he likes it, just to give the idea, or to give the people an idea that is completely not true. It's just something that he built out of nowhere, of the fact that they are safe, they are protected, that New York is better, New York born again. It's all a lie, just to hide the fact that he wants power to do whatever he likes, to abuse the power that he was given by people, to stay in power, to control people, to control what people say, to control what people think, to control what people tells about him, to make money, because he wants to make money with criminal activity in the background. And it's something that he's not supposed to do, because he's supposed to work for the city. And people are okay with that. They in a way they don't know, but in a way you kind of know. It's just that you like the reactionary kind of person telling you that everything is safe and that he's gonna take action in the worst wacky and violent way possible against people that are not you, because as soon as start concern you, as soon as ICE is taking away your neighborhood, but as soon as they come to knock to your door or do something on the street, concern a shift, because you understand that you are no longer safe. And the fact that Daredevil is telling you, look, like any other superhero, there are two kind of paths. You can have power and use it to basically to take advantage of it and to oppress others and to do stuff just for yourself, and that's a villain. Doesn't matter what happens to you, but that's a villain. And then you can choose to have power but use it to help others, because you understand that some stuff are not right and you're gonna fight for it. You're not just going to fight for yourself. You're gonna help your neighborhood, you're gonna help your brothers, your sister, you're gonna help everyone. And it's a solid stance that a superhero for once is taking, and that nobody else is taking. Of course, Daredevil is more a street level kind of superhero. It's not like Spider-Man, but those stuff, they can be you can give the same level of morality even with fighting a bad guy. Okay, it's something that Raimi has done in his movies, even if he was fighting Dr. Octopus or Goblin. But the idea of the hero protecting everyone and the idea of the morality of Spider-Man, it's there and it's very clear. Okay, the same in the movie with Miles Morales, that he has a strong sense of morality. And I love the fact that those two traits that were so the idea that the hero is too it's not stoic, it's not powerful, it's not a symbol, was fixed. And at the same time, I love the fact that he has morality, a strong morality. But one last argument, for example, even in the first season about mask and morality and heroes, when there is that moment where Matt Murdock understands that he can't take it anymore, he needs to come back as Daredevil. He needs to do that because when he's Matt Murdock, unfortunately, he has a limited power. He can't do whatever he would like to do to defeat bullying and the people that are poisoning the world around him. He can't do that as Matt Murdock. He needs to be this symbol that is very powerful. And when he comes back as Daredevil and he goes after Muse, it's pure rage. If you remember that scene, he goes back in the tunnel, Muse goes out because he hears a sound, and then there is the Daredevil cane and goes there, is time to punch the shit out of Muse. And even when Muse hit him, he just goes back, he take a hit, he spit blood and then keeps moving. He's not gonna be stopped. He's Daredevil. He's the devil. He can be a serial killer as much as he like, but he's the devil. And he's gonna stop him. Doesn't matter what is necessary, and he stops him. And it's funny that there is a moral choice, because he's about to, in a way, kill Muse, but he understands that it's more important to save the girl and to give hope. And in fact, he saves the girl, and she wake up and she goes, Daredevil, and she take his arms, and he goes like, I'm here. That thing is very strong and very powerful. And it's the root why we like superhero, because they're a symbol, a beacon of hope, of strength, of courage. And that's what we fall in love with them, because we have our challenge, and sometimes we go back home and we lose. And that day was terrible, and we lost, and we are on our knees, and we read these stories and we see those heroes striving for good and not allowing evil and problems and whatever is the challenge to stop them. They're gonna keep going. And we gotta have this when we have those superheroes. Doesn't matter how wacky and naive are the story, but we need to have that. We need to have that epicness, okay? And of course, in this season, we have a lot of epicness. We have a lot of combats. We have a lot of action scene. I love the scene when the devil goes to free all those people in the illegal jail by Wilson Fisk. I love that scene. And there is the swordsman. There is Tony Dalton. Tony Dalton is very good in this season, because even if he has a relative small screen times, when he goes there and there is the swordsman, he's very good when he takes that piece of metal and goes like, a sword, I can fight. It's very good. It's very powerful. And I like the thing, how they shot many things, how they decided to bring the black costume, and I love it. I absolutely love this season. Speaking of the fighting scene and stuff like that, they had good stunt coordinator on set. And I love the final decision. I'm gonna talk in a moment in the spoiler part. I think it's a very powerful act for the future of Daredevil, and I have high hopes for season 3. But anyway, there are a couple of problems. There are a couple of screenplay solution that are not wrong per se. It's just that I don't like them. I think they are very naive, they're very lazy, and in the way they built the relationship between Daredevil and Bullseye. He's a great character. He is an amazing scene. And I love as well one thing, that there is in the show, this kind of contrast between the ideology of Daredevil that is more based on faith, God, devil, stuff like that, and then the ideology of Bullseye that is kind of more based on a sort of a quantic scale, a sort of code of honor. You did something for me, I did something wrong to you, and I gotta do something good for you in order to rebalance the scale. It's very funny, but it's very twisted, because the way Bullseye thinks, it's very twisted. So it's gonna be a way to repair to a wrongdoing that is completely crazy. And I think it's funny. And I found it very funny in the show. And he has a great scene in the diner. It's fantastic. I love it, the way it's built, and he has an irony. And I believe this Bullseye, it's way more interesting than the Bullseye that we have seen, for example, in the movie, that it's very stupid. That Bullseye is terrible. It's just mean and evil for the sake of it, but there is no character. The character is not built. Even in the comic book, sometimes Bullseye, it's evil in a cartoonish way. In a way. And it's so stupid. I understand that comic books are very childish and not for adults. I still read them for fun. I understand that. But Bullseye as a character, it's very stupid. Even in the comic, it's mean for the sake of being mean, and it's evil in a cartoonish way sometimes. It's very mean in a cartoonish way. He kills people just because he has fun doing that, but not in a way that it can be romantic or psychotic, in a way that it's very childish. And it's okay in the comic book, I'm gonna be honest, it's okay. But when you make an adaptation and you gotta build a story for a TV show, stuff like that, I think the road they took for Bullseye makes way more sense, because it's a way more interesting character instead of a character that just does bad thing. I hate Daredevil. I'm gonna kill everybody you love. That's so stupid. I mean, it doesn't make much. It doesn't work. It's not interesting. It's not funny. It's just annoying, and it's one of those narrative arc that can end with just Bullseye dying. There is no way it can end differently, and it's annoying. It's not funny. I think whatever they have done, what they have done in a TV show with Bullseye, it's way, way, way better, because it's more at least interesting, and they gave him a shade, because it's not like it's funnier. Because I was about to spoil something. It's just funnier and more interesting, because in this way there is an history between the two characters, but it works as well on a level where Bullseye needed to balance the scale with Daredevil, and at the same time Daredevil is the devil, but he's still a Christian boy, so he believes in redemption and not doing justice with his own hands, speaking of taking a life or stuff like that. So he has bigger morality, and so they have those two things that they kind of collide, and at some point they manage to go together, and it works. But it's very interesting because it works. It makes sense. It's more funny, and Bullseye became a very cool character in the TV show. So I loved it. But anyway, now there is time to say that this season works. I like it, I enjoy it, but it's time for spoilers. So I wanna start to talk about Daredevil with spoilers. So 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. So let's start from two things that I don't like, and I think they are not mistake. If we speak about writing, I can't say it's a writing mistake, okay? It's a solution in both cases that I think it's very lazy, and they both involve Bullseye and his relationship with Daredevil. So what is the thing? First scenario, basically they need to introduce the fact that Bullseye, in order to remedy to when not introduce but expand the fact that Bullseye, since he was hired to kill Foggy but he had no actual beef, it was kind of trick into kill Foggy. He wants to do right toward Matt Murdock after, and towards Daredevil after he threw him from the building. He didn't die, so want to balance the scale and to do something to remedy to his mistake towards Daredevil. So basically there is this scene where Daredevil goes to save his cop friends, because the Kimping army is going there to basically torture and kill him, to have information about Murdock and Daredevil. So he goes there and he has this battle against a couple of agents, and I hate it because since the policeman is having an heart attack, he gets distracted, he gets punched, he goes down, they overpower him, 2 agents, and they unmask him, and then Bullseye with a rifle just gunned them down, and so his identity is safe. So it's a way to say, okay, I'm helping you, I have your back. And I hate it. And the reason why I hate it is that it's lazy. Because using the secret identity as a card every time you need something, a leverage for the character, for the main character, for the superhero, it's so lazy, it's so boring, it's so easy. Forget about the freaking identity. Secret, forget about that. The conflict is interesting when it is between the superhero and the supervillain. When it goes personal, it's very boring. It's very, very boring. It's cliche and it's lazy. You know what I would have done? First thing first, even the mise en scene of this part of the story, it's lazy because it defeats the whole idea of how powerful is Daredevil. Because and this is a mistake, speaking of writing, because we can see that he is very powerful and he can defeat a lot of agents altogether. He does it in the prison. Even when he fights with Fisk, we understand, okay, Fisk is very strong, but Daredevil can defeat him whenever he likes. He just that he doesn't want to do that on a physical level because he has this thing about redemption and having him surrender willingly. But as soon as he needs to prove a point, as we see in a scene towards the end, he can prove a point and defeat Fisk. And that's it. Happening at the end of season 3 and is happening again here in Born Again. And so, such a strong character, he can defeat it by a couple of agents. It's stupid. Also because the error here, speaking of writing and mise-en-scene, is that he kicked the living hell out of them. But they are like sponges because the screenplay needs them to be sponges. And so they go on the ground and they get back up. It doesn't matter how hard he hits them. And then they overpower him with like a punch. They throw him a punch, he goes on the ground, and then he can't get up anymore. So Daredevil can beat the shit out of everyone. He can survive a beating of Fisk that can literally kill 1,000 men with his bare hands, and we see in the TV show doing that. But he can't stand a hit from an agent. He goes down like a pear. He goes down. He can't get up. And they unmask him. It's very, the screenplay needs this to happen. It's very lazy. You know what I mean? You know what I would have done, even to make the TV show, even with a set pieces, one more set pieces that was compelling. What I would have done, I would have sent Daredevil to the building to rescue this guy. He steps into the building, he beat the crap out of those agents, and one of them called the radio like, it's the devil, it's the devil, and they start to send in more agents. Yes, there is this thing that the guy is having an heart attack and he needs to save him, and that's the ticking bomb of the scene, like Hitchcock would like to say. So we have the ticking bomb. The guy is having an heart attack and he needs to help him. He can get distracted, he can get the punch, but the thing is that he needs to help him and get him out of there as soon as possible, and that's the urgency. But there are agents that keeps coming and coming and coming, and there are 10, 15, 20, and you have this scene, this amazing action scene that he moves from inside apartment to the hallway where those agents are coming in and he's punching the hell out of them and he keeps fighting, but at some point there are too many. They start to come from the windows. Maybe one can come down from the windows, and they are starting to overpower Daredevil because there are too many, and you have occasion to build a very sick fighting scene. And they have the stunt coordinator and the ability to do that in that hallway. Very old boy, and not old boy. I'm having old boy. They can do that, and then when he's about to be overpowered, Bullseye is gonna shot a couple of hits and starting to kill agent. And at that point there is another problem, that Daredevil, he doesn't want people to die, and this is the conflict with Bullseye that is killing everyone. He started to spray bullets and he started to throw the knife and killing agent, and there's the sick idea of Bullseye helping Daredevil but killing everyone, and then even if he has done it, you realize that it's Bullseye, and then he's going to save the guy. But It would be more effective, more interesting, more dramatic because it's killing people like a maniac, and the conflict can be interesting and is still there, but there is no this lazy thing about him being unmasked. So it's way better. I like it more. And I would have done something like that. The scene would be more interesting, more funny to watch, and we would have achieved the exact same result, because the whole thing about the identity is just stupid. I don't like it. It's stupid. And as I said before, then you don't believe the fact that Daredevil can overpower that many agents, because when the screenplay needs, he's being overpowered by 2 agents, and that's stupid. But anyway, the other thing that I didn't like it as the same mechanism is Vanessa's death. So Bullseye kills 2,000 agents inside the diner with a toothpick and with a couple of forks and knives. He can do that, but as soon as he goes at the Fisk boxing match with a couple of agents, he managed to go there. He can kill anyone, but he got shot by Vanessa. It's that thing is horrible. They could have used another kind of way to do that. They could have done anything else, but the fact that Vanessa shoots him, okay, I can accept that. You know what? You can put in the scene that he's trying. A lot of agents are trying to stop him, and there is Daredevil, and so in the mix he got shot. But what I don't like is the fact that he throw that trophy made out of glass, and there is the thing in slow motion with Fisk breaking it with the belt, and then you think everything is safe, and he managed to save Vanessa. You know she's going to die, but anyway, you have this illusion that she's safe, but then a fragment is in the skull, and then there is the whole next episode about. The next episode is fine. I think it's a little bit Grey's Anatomy, like Derek dying in Grey's Anatomy. I couldn't stop thinking about that, and I couldn't take the episode very seriously. But anyway, you can done the next episode in that way. Okay, it's fine. You want to do something very heartfelt for Fisk to understand the weight of the loss. Okay. But the scene, I would have give a little bit a spin, because the fact that Fisk can almost save her, it's annoying. I would have made Fisk feel powerless. So, because the whole thing about people like Fisk and the fact that they want power is that they believe they have an insane amount of power and they can control everything. But the fact that his arrogance, the fact that he's there thinking that he can do whatever he likes, he has power, he has his private militia, but doesn't matter. A guy like Bullseye, as much as a guy as Daredevil, they will always being able to being that kind of variable, completely unpredictable, that is gonna take away all the power that Fisk thinks to have, and anyway kill Vanessa. Okay, Vanessa shoots him, but it is sort of a Western kind of thing. She shoots him, but he kills her with this piece of glass that goes in a skull. You can have done that. He hits the spot, but he doesn't kill her because anyway she shot him, so he throw the things, but it's not as precise as it should be, and so she doesn't die right away. But at least you have Fisk being in pain because he had no control and no chance to save Vanessa whatsoever. Okay? I think that would be way better than this effect that, oh, she's safe, and no, she's not. I think it's very silly. I don't like it. Again, this is not a mistake, speaking of screenwriting or writing in general. It's very silly. I don't like it. You can have the same effect by having this idea of Fisk not having power, not being able to prevent the assassination attempt and whatever would be more powerful as well, I think, in the idea of Fisk losing his marble because he couldn't stop it. So it's more interesting. And those are the two things that I don't like. Everything else I like. It's kind of, I dig it. I think it's very positive everything else. I think that I like, as I said before, that the relationship between Bullseye and Daredevil. I like the triangle between BB, Buck, and Daniel Blake. Michael is his first name, Michael Gandolfini. I think he's great. And I think that they have done something very interesting in writing, because you can't, I mean, you can, but speaking of legacy, he is still the kind of guy from Bronx or Queens or whatever, Sons of, he's still a Gandolfini in a way. So he's kind of guy that comes from, as Matt Murdock, as BB. He doesn't come from money. He comes from a very regular family. BB goes back with Blake in his house. He stayed there with his mother, and he's a very Italian American kind of guy, kind of situation. It's fine, and I love the fact that they didn't transform him into a Tony Soprano. They understand that this character is not a Tony Soprano. It's not a Tony Soprano kind of arc. Okay, he's a nice guy. As Buck says, he grows on you. I love the fact that at some point Buck loves this kid because he admires him. He's funny, he's clever, he's smart. At the same time, Blake doesn't get in how big of a trouble he is in it. He thinks if Fisk is shady, but still a kind of guy that it's okay. He's doing shady things, but it's very strong. This is his perception of Fisk. When he starts to understand that there is violence involved, that there are very serious criminal activity, when he is to deliver BB to Buck, that's too much. He can't do that. And the way he dies is very cold, and I like it because it's very cruel, and it's very something that from a criminal kind of environment and background that we don't see usually in Marvel kind of stories, and I like it. It works. I love this triangle because it's a moment that BB in a way use it to say, okay, enough of this mask thing. I can't be the girl dressing as Fisk and just mock him. I gotta be BB. Okay, and say what I want to say instead of having a sort of identity herself. She has a mask herself. She's BB. She's trying to talk okay about New York, but in the background she talks about she make fun of Mayor Fisk. So it's very interesting that as well. Like I love Mr. Charles, Matthew Lillard. Shout out for Matthew Lillard. He's great in this TV show. He was great even in Twin Peaks: The Return. He's in that TV show as well, and he's very good. Here he plays this CIA kind of agent that is very shady, like CIA. It's a character that is more of a cliche, but I like the way Matthew Lillard plays it because he never feels in danger. Even when Fisk with Buck make a statement that he can be threatened, and he kills the two guy that Mr. Charles brings with him. But he goes like, oh shit, didn't work out. I lose my leverage on Kingpin. It's not like, oh shit, I'm gonna die. It's like, oh shit, I lose my leverage. And it's very interesting. And in fact, it takes Bullseye, because when Cage come back, it takes Bullseye, and they found each other. And there is a new chapter for Bullseye, and I really love it. As I said, Tony Dalton as a swordsman, I love it very much. As well as the very violent ending with Kingpin, when he opens up and he goes like, boo, bam, and it's very powerful, because in that second, Kingpin is like, you can stop me physically. he's not gonna be scared. He is kimping. In that moment, he's kimping. He's unstoppable. He's strong. He's gonna try to build his way out with his fist. Because anyway, Vanessa is no longer there to hold him back and help him. Because a part of his identity as Mayor Fisk is built on the fact that he has to build himself as this righteous and elegant man that society wants to see in order to build this idea of a good man, a man of power, elegance and eloquence. And he built that just for Vanessa and for having his revenge to the world, okay, to show the world that he can be that, even if in reality is the Kingpin. And I love the fact that at the end he embraced the idea of being the Kingpin, and that's it. I love the idea that in the end, I thought that I was not going to embrace this, but hear me out. I love the idea that at the end, Matt Murdock decide to embrace Daredevil and say, I'm Daredevil. He's not gonna let... This is also because I think they've done a good job in giving the upper hand to the superhero. Because Fisk, he could have revealed his identity for, even if absurd, but the fact that the hero is not whining about that, but is embracing this thing and saying, okay, he's not going to have the upper hand. I'm going to say that I'm Daredevil and prove that he's a criminal. It's a little bit annoying that then there is the judge saying, okay, fair enough, even if, okay, he's Daredevil, but anyway, we had an overwhelming amount of proof and he could have been anyway convicted, and you go like, just defeat the purpose of the whole thing. Shut up. Anyway, if that kind of kills the whole thing in a way. But speaking of tone, I love this decision because this is the act of heroism that Daredevil does in order to embrace his iconic myth, living myth and living legend in New York and in Hell's Kitchen as protector of New York. It's very interesting because it's very strong and it's very powerful. The idea that this embrace is part of himself. He is definitely Daredevil. He has no fear. He is the hero who is willing to face the consequences in order to do the right thing. As I said before, it's very powerful, but as my idea, this is my idea. So I know that it's annoying to play with the secret identity, as I said before. And it's something that I think has to be done just with specific character. I mean, with Spider-Man, we don't have to have every single freaking bad guy that he faces in a movie to know his secret identity. It's lazy. It's not interesting. Doesn't make any sense. Why? The conflict is gonna go just by the idea that the bad guy knows his secret identity. I love the fact that, for example, Raimi in Spider-Man 2, he let Peter unmask in front of Octavius, not because they need to create a conflict between the two characters, but because he needs to talk with Dr. Octavius. And then it's very powerful because in that moment Octavius realized that he can't be a monster. He has to be like Peter Parker, brilliant but lazy. I think this is the line if I remember correctly. And he understood that Peter Parker is brilliant but is not lazy. Is just doing the right thing with the power, the whole power that he has, is doing the right thing. And that inspires him to follow his true self and to do whatever he needs to do. And he chooses to die as a hero and not as a monster because that's the right thing to do. And he needs to pay his own debt to the world for what he was trying to do. So he's Frankenstein killing his own monster and himself at the same time. And that's very powerful. Because the whole movie, you have a conflict between Spider-Man and Octavius build on those personality and persona, and built on the idea that the conflict is on the fact that he says something like intelligent is not for is not, I'm going to paraphrase this because I don't remember the line. Intelligent is not something that is a privilege that you have, is given to you, but something that you use for that you put at the service of others. It's a way to say from great power comes great responsibility. It's the same concept, idea. So there is a conflict between those things. Octavius raised to powers because he embraces power and use for himself. At the same time, Peter Parker is exhausted to using his power for a greater good because he's shattering his own life, his own personal life. But at the end, he understands that he doesn't have to be. He needs to. It's necessary thing to do, and he managed to he learns how to manage his life as Peter Parker and his life as Spider-Man, even in the relationship with MJ. He learns something and then he's powerful again. He comes back as a hero because he found his morality, his strength. He found his back on a, let's say, on a philosophical level, and so he's back as a person. So that's it. And there's this conflict between those two powerful people that are the same person basically, because they have a very similar morality. They love somebody dearly. They have a very strong morality about intelligence and being smart and how to use this gift. And so this is the conflict. You don't need to unmask them. This is a great example. The unmasking is for something else. But here, the unmasking, I like it because not every hero, I believe, when we talk about adaptation, not comic book per se, you can do that even in a comic book arc if you want. But I believe there are some heroes that can decide to ditch entirely the persona that generate them. So the idea that Matt Murdock can decide to drop the act as Matt Murdock, disappear, or anyway unveil his identity like in this case, and decide to embrace completely Daredevil and be always Daredevil. Like the Punisher. Frank Castle is dead. He's the Punisher. Always. Jessica Jones, she has a private life. She's a private detective. It's something different. A private investigator. It's something different, but anyway, she's Jessica Jones. That's it. She has no persona. She's dead. But anyway, I love when character embrace completely their persona, because that persona is who they are. As I said before, who Matt Murdock really is Daredevil. The second he embraced this persona that he's creating and go to beat the shit out of that father molesting the little girl, he feels better because that's who he is. When in Born Again season 1, he comes back as Daredevil and he goes to Muse and he's like, ah! It's a comeback of rage. I like what Charlie Cox does with the character. It's rage because it's anger and frustration because his personality, the devil, is coming out. And the fact that he's embracing his true identity and he's happy to do so, and Karen itself is happy because that is an act of courage. That is an act of heroism. And he's strong and he's a beacon of hope and strength and good. And he has no fear when he does that. And he's so freaking powerful that. And it's fine. As I was saying, you don't need a character to have these double life kind of things and build the thrill. Oh my god, they will find out that he's Daredevil. Who cares? Who cares? You can avoid the whole thing entirely. You can use it as an element to build a quick, a small, even a comedy relief here and there. But in general, you can avoid that entirely. It's not an interesting arc. But if you want to ditch completely the secret identity things and make, like in this case, Matt Murdock embrace the fact that he's Daredevil, kudos to you. I like it because the character is more powerful. The fact that he's always will be Daredevil. Nobody will ever have a leverage like with Frank Castle. The only thing you can do is kill him or put him in jail for the rest of his life. But you have no leverage to stop him because he's a symbol and he's unstoppable. He's the devil in this case, the devil of Hell's Kitchen. It's going to be the devil of Hell's Kitchen forever till the day he dies, because he's going to be there doing whatever he needs to do. And it's interesting because it's like, sorry, I gotta take a couple of characters that maybe I don't know if you know them or you don't know them, but for example, Jack Reacher. It's not that like he's hiding from criminals because he's afraid of retaliation of criminals. Even the whole concept is kind of naive. In comic book, since the comic book needs to move forward, you can have this thing that it can disclose his identity because, I don't know, Steelman or the Owl or whatever criminal is gonna retaliate with him. Or Spider-Man that has those many villains, Electro, stuff like that. They go to jail, they escape, stuff like that. It's a very wacky universe. And the identity kind of makes sense in that kind of space. But in an adaptation where they defeat a bad guy and that bad guy is defeated, that's it. The whole identity thing, it's kind of weak. It's not that interesting. And if you decide to, like I was saying, Reacher, there is no retaliation thing. He just does whatever he kills everyone. It's like more Punisher. But anyway, the morality of this character is that he does what he thinks it's right. And he's a strong character. Not everybody knows Jack Reacher, okay? The society will be mostly oblivious about Jack Reacher, who he is. But he's a strong, powerful character. Okay, this silent cowboys or Boy Scout that is his own morality and is gonna do whatever he thinks he's right to stop bully from bullying society, and it's very powerful. Or if you take a character like Big Boss in the Metal Gear Saga, it's not like, oh, Big Boss, we can't tell the world what's his name because they're gonna find out where he takes coffee in the morning and kill him. No. Cares? I mean, he decided to embrace this persona, Big Boss, and being this legendary person that is able to basically checkmate the whole world with the government. They're gonna bend the knee to this character that seems unstoppable and is gonna be legendary and powerful. It's iconic and strong. It's not like, oh, but who he is? Because John, what his name? You don't care. And so it works. And I think Daredevil is the same thing. Who cares who Daredevil actually is? Is Matt Murdock or whatever? We don't care. It's fine. And I love that. I love the fact that they decide to embrace this road. And if in season 3 it's gonna be Daredevil all the time, they're not going to even think about try to create something that will roll back the idea that is Daredevil. For all we care, he can keep living as Matt Murdock, everyday life, and then being Daredevil. What's going to happen? Someone is gonna retaliate on Daredevil when he doesn't have a costume. He's gonna kick your butt. Doesn't matter if he has the costume. He has just more freedom to do so on broad daylight because everybody knows who he is. So it's not like, I mean, I think it's the implication of him telling his true identity. If you want to lean on that, you can, but I think the fact that it's going to be Daredevil forever and ever, it's fine. It's not a tragedy. Speaking of an adaptation like this, I think I dig it. It's okay. And it's very cool and it's very powerful. And as I said before, I like this the thing that the Christian boy taking the idea of being the devil. In the comic book, there was a recent narrative arc by Chip Zdarsky, and there is a scene where he goes into this prison to free some people, because he's losing it in a way. But anyway, there is the U.S. soldier, so Walker from the new Avengers, let's say, is a villain, is creating a bad guy. But anyway, he faces Walker and he tells something in the line of, you should surrender before you be judged by higher power, stuff like that. And Walker says back something like, God is on my side. And then there is Daredevil in this super sick, amazing ninja Daredevil kind of costume. Look at it online, it's fantastic. Anyway, before fighting the US agent and killing the lights in this place, he says, if God was on your side, it would have not sent the devil. And then he kills the lights and kicks the shit out of the US agent. and it's amazing. This is Daredevil. This is who he is. He's the devil, and it's very cool. I don't like the super emo kind of depressed aspect of the comic book. I would like to have a hero that is more, as I said, I hope they keep the tone of Daredevil very, he's a hero, he knows he's a symbol, he's gonna be strong, if he falls he's gonna go back up, he will never stop. Like Creature, that you feel empowered by this character, not because you want to go around and beat the shit out of people, not because of that, but because you feel like you're gonna be you're gonna face adversity with a different mood. Okay, that's what I think. And so even the idea that they unmask him, I like it. I don't think they're gonna revisit the costume for that season 3. I would love that. To be honest, I would love to see a different version of Daredevil. Speaking of the costume, I think that would be super cool, super nice. Of him embracing an idea of Daredevil more ninja-like or something like that. I would love that. And have the costume be something different. One thing that I always kind of find annoying of those live action is that the costume, they never seek the practical / kind of iconic side of things. In fact, to be honest, I don't like Zack Snyder's. I think his Batman is ridiculous. It's stupid. It doesn't get Batman at all. But the costume that is made for his Batman is probably one of the best or the best costume in a live action, because it makes sense, because it's powerful, because it's interesting. For Daredevil, a costume like the Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky, kind of ninja style with those pants and stuff like that, would be so sick and amazing. I would like to see that instead of this kind of. It's not bad, the costume that we have in the live action, the TV show, but I think it can be improved to be more interesting, to be something more kind of entertaining and funny. Because it's not like that is Batman and he's all covering in Kevlar because he doesn't want to get shot or stuff like that. Anyway, if they shot him, as we've seen in the show, they shot him. if they take him, they take him. If both sides throw a knife, he's gonna take the damage. It's not like that is impossible to get hurt because of the costume. The costume has a relevant practicality. And so to have something more interesting, speaking of that. But anyway, this is my piece about Daredevil Born Again Season 2. I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoy. If you want to share some thoughts about the TV show, let me know in the comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like it, if you didn't like it, what you would like to see in the next season, and we can talk it maybe in another episode. Until next time, bye bye.